Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. What do I need to do here? I guess that's all right. So, looks like that's coming in. All right. Welcome, Chris and Puzzleheaded. Posted something in suggestions that you may or may not want to go. Oh, yes, the Tainted Winds. I definitely do want to talk about the storm. So I made some notes since last time, so I'm just going to go over them first. So, first of all, I started taking notes about the moon. Couple of interesting things. So, we got this wolf crest shield in the DLC, which says that the wolf is the beast of the Carrion Royal Covenant, a symbol of the moon's pride that none can forget, no matter what remote lands they may arrive in. That's weird because, according to the old legends, wolves are the shadows of the Empyrean. So, we have these sort of two different connotations for the wolf. We know that Renala established the House of Caria as royalty. So it's directly connected to Renala, the wolf. Renala and her younger sister R'Lana met twin moons in childhood. There's this suggestion that maybe the moon fell to Earth. It's sort of all vague, and so it could be just... It's not clear whether that's actually true or not, but maybe. Given the way that the twin moon spell works, that's possible. Ymir was R'Lana's preceptor, but he abandoned his allegiance to the moon. She said it was merely the closest of celestial bodies, nothing more, which is odd. There's a lot more about the moon that I want to talk about, but interesting that we should have this thing about moons and wolves, considering the other association of wolves as the sort of the shadows. And we get that very clearly, not just with this dialogue from, or this text from Vargrim, but, you know, Rani was an Empyrean. She was chosen by the Two Fingers, which is when she received Blythe, who is a half-wolf, and she says, in the form of a vassal tailored for an Empyrean, implying that, like, an Empyrean's vassal would be wolf-like. And we also kind of get that with Malekith. He's not ever explicitly said to be a wolf, but I mean, he looks wolfy. Radigan had a red wolf. The Elden Ring farm Azula has that statue of a child surrounded by 3 menacing wolves. Mikola gave us a spirit-killing bell and 3 wolf spirits. So I think one way maybe to interpret this is... I think this suggests a connection between Marika and the moon. Also, someone pointed out, I haven't checked this, we will check this during the playthrough at some point, that the moon always shines on the shaman village, whether it's day or night. Now, I don't know enough about the conditions for that skybox. I know that there's 2 moons that appear in the sky. One of them is the model, which only appears, as far as I know, on Moonlight Altar. So that's like a 3D rendered model. It looks different than the normal skybox. So there's a skybox moon, which is what appears, for example, when we first met Rani at the Church of Ella, when she calls herself Rena. The big skybox moon that's sort of to the right of the Erd tree. That one is just a skybox. It's the texture. And then there's another one which appears on the Moonlight Altar, which is actually a 3D rendered model. And that one is different. It does not look the same as the skybox model. Now the skybox, there's a lot of different flags for how skyboxes are triggered in the game. I mean, every location has different skyboxes. So I'm not sure exactly how weird or normal it would be for the moon to appear always at Shaman Village, if that even is correct. But um, we also have America, the Eternal. She's got this connection with the Eternal Cities. Um, we have this, data mine stuff about the Nox armor, and the earlier description said that they were members of the Empyrean family. We have these tags in the code that call like the Silver Tears, America Slime, with America lineage, all of this stuff that suggests America is connected with the Eternal Cities, and also the Nox architecture. You have the Lower Lendel has this sort of architecture which is the same as Ordina and Celia, which is similar, derived from the Noxian architecture. So this thing about the night, the moon, we have the lost black moon, which presumably shattered, because we find pieces of it with the memory stones. And then, yes, as Puzzleheaded says in the comments, everything relates to the eclipse. Also a bunch of stuff about the eclipse, because obviously a moon going in front of the sun is a kind of eclipse. So, America and the moon, an odd thing to connect, but it seems that there is a connection there. And I'm wondering if there are 3 moons by default, with the Carians have a tradition of passing them through the matriarchal line, encountering a moon symbolizing that moon's figurative rebirth. 2 moons in the lands between, because there's a third veiled in the Land of Shadows. Well, the one in the Land of Shadows appears to be the same Skybox moon. It's the one that some people theorize might have Ronnie's rune, or even, I don't know, something on it. It's a little bit unclear. I mean, there's also the moon in Renala's boss fight, which is actually a different moon as well, at least visually. Very unclear why there are multiple moons. At least just on a visual level, they're definitely trying to imply that there are multiple moons. Whether we want to say that the black moon was the dark moon, and there can be, I don't know, there was Renala's and Rolana's moon, the twin moons, unclear. I think you could also, it is also odd that because Rolana's moon is the full moon, but actually neither of the moons are really full. They're all, crescent moons, or gibbous. So, unclear what's going on there. But the main point of this, just to connect America to the moon, and possibly the whole idea of Empyreans. I mean, you could also say, like Empyreans, right, they're all female except for Mikola. And Mikola has this female counterpart. Generally speaking, the moon is a feminine symbol as opposed to the sun, which is a masculine symbol. There's a couple mythologies which reverse that, but usually the sun is thought of as masculine. Helios, Apollo, and the moon is thought of as feminine. So I remember somebody making a comment that the way you cast moon spells has your character curdle into a ball almost like an egg or womb before casting it. Yes, then there is the thing about maybe the moon being an egg or representing an egg. You have the twin moons are nestled against each other. You have the way that your character curls into a little, fetal position. You have Renala, sort of, she lost her, she enchanted the academy, and then at some point the academy realized that you know, they were disillusioned of her status, and now she's holding this amber egg. So it's like almost like she's replaced, instead of cradling the moon, she's cradling the egg. The slumbering egg was called the moon egg. And you have in A Song of Ice and Fire, you have this story about that once there were two moons, and the first moon hatched. I think it was even a black moon. The first moon hatched, and that's where the dragons came from. They stole the fire of the sun. So a lot of interesting things. I think you could maybe connect symbolically, like the moon as an unborn child. And that would also kind of make a lot of sense coming from Bloodborne. Particularly the slumbering egg description, I think, which was called the moon egg in 1.0, prized as a symbol of the most sublime slumber. It's owl eggs that will never hatch. So there's an implication, maybe the moon as this kind of sleep where you don't actually get born. So the moon as an unborn child, I think, symbolically makes a lot of sense. How that connects to wolves and Caria and Empyreans in America is a little bit weird. Welcome, Bloom. Hey, Crunchy, do I miss out anything if I haven't been able to watch the last VOD? Would love to be here for this stream of it. Well, only in the sense that this is a sort of stream of consciousness, so I'm picking up from some things I mentioned last time, but if you want to ask any questions, if you're not following my train of thought, I would encourage that, and I would encourage that for anyone, because sometimes I can go off on some pretty schizophrenic rambles, so it helps to ground those. Oh, the hood too big for a head fits the theme with other comically large head items like the snowy crone hat. Right, because the Great Hood says that this was the moon that Renala... What does it say again? Great Hood... It's also a funeral... Oh, spelled that wrong. It's a burial shroud for those who discover at long last the truth they sought. And truth here is the Japanese word shinjitsu, which is the same word used to describe, for example, the mother of truth. And I want to say something regarding Goldmask's quest as well. It's this sort of, I think possibly reading it as like the hidden truth, or the sort of the occult truth, the real truth that isn't just the narrative. That requires a bit of interpretation, but I mentioned this in, I believe, my Crucible video, one of them at least. I mentioned that thing. Yes, surely this is the moon that young Renala gazed upon. Yeah. Then I watched a very interesting video just this morning, called, let me find it. I posted it in the Discord. It was called Godfrey's Origins and Crowning Revealed by a YouTuber called The Alchemist. And the beginning of the video I'm not sure I buy, but there were some very interesting observations about Godfrey and the storm, and so I want to go over. Then I made some more notes about some things. So, Godfrey led the war against the giants. He faced the Storm Lord. Now I think in the last stream we were looking at some of the things regarding the Banished Knights, and we were doing stuff about Castle Morn and what is going on there. We have Edgar as a Banished Knight. So, okay, when Godfrey vowed to become a lord, he took the beast regent Sarosh upon his back. We know this. Sarosh is a lion. He guides the golden lineage. Now, in the DLC, we had some new information. Among the divine beast warriors, only those who truly excel at divine invocation become sculpted keepers and are granted the honor of the lion dance. So we now have this new information about lions and what they represent. It represents the divine beast. That's clear, I think. Divine beasts are messengers of the heavens, which is important, and their rage mirrors the tumult of the skies, of which storms are the pinnacle. I like talking about storms now because it was just storming outside, so it feels very appropriate. And we have a divine storm in Farum Azula, in which Placidusax sits. So we have messengers of the heavens, and they sort of communicate these storms. The dance conveys these storms. The divine bird helm says it's blah blah blah. It allows the wearer to invoke divinity, worn by divine bird warriors, the very first of all horned warriors. So we first have divine bird warriors, and then we have the divine lion warriors. The Ornis Spirit Ash, all the horned warriors descend from this first divine bird warrior. So Ornis is the very first of all these people who perform this divine invocation. So he tamed, that's important, he tamed the divine bird and made its wings his own as he soared through the sky. And then he became the guardian deity of the temple quarter. Now, what's interesting, so there's a lot of bird connotations. We have the twin bird, which was the mother of all death birds, and then we have hawks, and they're associated with the storm. So it seems pretty clear in drawing a line of connection between Ornis, this divine bird, which he, invoked, and the Stormhawk King. Whether the Stormhawk King was the divine bird or descended from the divine bird or just sort of connected by dint of, its source of power or something, whatever. The point is to draw a connection between Stormveil and the divine bird warriors of the Hornsent, and all of that stuff. We have Beastmen in Farum Azula. Farum Azula is in the storm, and the Beastmen sort of worship the ancient dragons. They serve Placidusax. Okay, then we have Horalu. Horalu was chieftain of the Badlands. Now in cut content, there was the Highlands, what is now the Highlands gear. It was called the Badlands gear. The brave warriors of the Badlands shown excess adornment. So Horalu was chieftain of the Badlands. Divine Beast Frost Stomp is an upgrade of Hor Frost Stomp. We have Horalu, and he stomps. Rhymed Row is found in Frigid Highlands. Brave combatants begin battle by crying out their names. Also, we have the Highland Axe, which looks the same. Actually, do I have this? Let's find it. The weapons. So, the Highlands Axe. Let me bring this over here. Where's the axes? Did I pass already? Oh, no, there we go. Highlands Axe. So this is a weapon of the Highland Warriors, and we have a 8-pointed star there. And then we have the Great Axe, which says it's the weapon of chieftains of the Badlands. Clearly the same kind of culture. You have the same kind of, interweaving pattern, same style of blade, same sort of like wrappings and all of this stuff, very similar. And we also have the black leather shield, which also has this, this Celtic designs. It says it depicts the polar star in rivets of gold. So there's this association with cold Celtic culture associated with the eight-pointed star. The Highlands, the Badlands, they're all connected. Okay, so Highland warriors are known to be hunters of bears. To them, there is no act more glorious than the subjugation of a savage beast. And the bear communion says that it's more akin to the divine invocation of the horn scent than it is to the dragon communion. So, as pointed out by this video that I mentioned, what he connects is basically this idea that Horalu was a Highland warrior, and he subjugated a savage beast. In other words, he subjugated, in the manner of Ornis, who tamed the divine bird, Horalu tamed the divine lion, i.e. Sarosh. And then we know that the horn scent were opposed to the fell god of fire. They were not a fan. And what happens? Marika gets Lord Godfrey, and then they immediately go and fight the fire giants. So I think at this point, Marika is still allied with the horn scent. I think basically, okay, Godfrey's like, or Horalu becomes, he's the first of these, or he's the second actually, after Ornis. So you have Ornis, he did this divine invocation, he tamed the divine bird, and he became a guardian deity, and then all the horned warriors descended from him. Horalu tamed the divine beast, the divine lion, Sarosh, through divine invocation. And, and his children also have horns, Morgoth and Moog. And Marika took him for her lord. He became Godfrey. And then they went to war with the fire giants, still allied with the horn scent. So I think she's still working with them at this point because, they're against the fell god. They want it to die as well. And let's see. At this point, there's two questions that come up here. One is, when do the Liurnian Wars happen? When does Radigan sort of appear? And because we know that, so we have one, Horalu becomes or subjugates Divine Beast. I think this makes a lot of sense. Divine Beast of Storms, who is Sarosh. And Sarosh, if Sarosh was the Divine Beast, the King of Beasts, he is a messenger from the heavens, i.e. the Great Storm, Baramazula. So they're sort of allied with, I think, Placidusax at this point. And I think this could also, you could also say that he is the Storm Lord. I think that makes sense. Because also we have, where is it? He faced the Storm Lord alone. In other words, without Sarosh. So it makes perfect sense. He faced the Storm Lord alone because he didn't have Sarosh yet. Because Sarosh was the Storm Lord. So Horalu subjugates Divine Beast of Storms. America marries Godfrey. He becomes Godfrey. Ugh, how can I spell? War against the fire giants. Still allied with Hornsent. And then what happens? Well, we know that Mesmer and Gaius are friends. Gaius is an Albinoric. And studied with the Alabaster Lord. I'm not putting this in a timeline necessarily. It says that they were as older brothers to the lion, and now I wonder what you could interpret that multiple ways, actually. Because they could have been elder brothers to they weren't actually elder brothers, but they were as elder brothers to the lion. I mean, Radon makes sense. Elder brother as in older student brother. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that would connect more directly with Radon then, if Gaius studied with the same Alabaster Lord. And hello, last protagonist. That's interesting. What is this? Oh, that's just lion. Okay. Wait, isn't that child? Oh, maybe I'm getting confused. Someone else calls him the older brother's student was? Okay. I'll check that out a little bit later. But I think this implies that in Gaius' set. Let's look that up. It was said to be. Okay. So that implies that this is referring to Radon. And that means that implies that Mesmer knew Radon, which implies that the scourge, that Mesmer's campaign happened after, well after the Lyrian Wars, after Radon grew up. That would actually just trying to figure out the timeline. Did you see my light reply to you about the Banished Knights following Sarash? Yeah, the banner, I mentioned that in a previous stream. The banner of the Banished Knights looks like a very sort of florid lion. So they have the lion and the hawk imagery. So, yeah, timeline-wise, I think, you know, it's interesting because we had on an early version of the intro or something called General Radon, Slayer of Giants. And everybody was like, oh, that's weird. But actually, that might be true. Radon might have been... The Lyrian Wars might have been before the war against the Fire Giants. So actually, somewhere in here, let's say, Lyrian Wars, Radigan marries Renala and has children. I don't think that works if the Erdtree is only born around the Giant War. But we know that the Giants were enemies of the Erdtree. Right? Because... enemies of... Yeah, in ancient times, the Giants were mortal enemies of the Erdtree. So I think the Erdtree must have existed. Just a different kind of Erdtree. It's the age of the Erdtree that begins after the war with the Giants. You know, an epoch glistening with life, brandished the Elden Ring for the age of the Erdtree. Radigan had to already be an Erdtree champion before Renala, and the overall scale of the timeline sucks. But I think that can totally work. Radigan... So, Radigan is an Erdtree champion, so that the Erdtree exists at this point. Potentially, the Erdtree is just the Crucible at this point. Radigan marries Renala and has kids. And does it mention anywhere that Godfrey fought the Giants? Yeah, that's this this echo from America. So I think the crusade begins after the Flame of Ruin is sealed. Which is kind of interesting because that sort of implies we have two eras. We have America is pro Hornsent, pro Crucible, anti-Bell god. And then Marika turns on the horn scent and uses fire. Here's another oddity to consider. Ratigan uses Erdtree worship sigils with Barrier of Gold, which implied the Age of Plenty was already ending before the Giant War if Radahn fought them. Wait, Barrier of Gold, so that's in the Liurnian Wars, which implies the Age of Plenty was already ending before the Giant War if Radahn fought them. Because the sigil... let's see. Let's look at the sigils for a sec. Is it not in here? Maybe it's... Oh, you know what it is? It's concept art. Where are those runes? There's all that stuff. Where are the sigils? Oh. There we go. So we have this sigil, which is used for the Elden Stars incantation, the Crucible incantations. I don't remember if there's anything else. There's also the sort of even more robust version of that, this one, which is the Shackles, Mogan Morgott Shackles. But then we have this version, which is the more modern sigil. So if he was using this in the Liurnian Wars, that implies the Age of Plenty was already gone. I mean, you could cast doubt on the idea that these sigils actually represent something about the timeline, though. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but, they could represent something else. They could represent maybe just, like, something which channels more crucible energy versus something which is more sort of faith and devotion. I don't really like that, but that's one way to do it. Ratigan was a bit of a pioneer, so him using different sigils before anyone else widely adopted them makes sense. Let's look at the... Oh, this is another moon connection. That's why I was looking at this. Because this is the exile soldiers who are connected with the Banished Knight faction, which is presumably God... I think must have been Godfrey's, because they're in Roundtable Hold, they're in Stormvale, and in 1.0 they were in Leyndell even. I think you could draw a connection that the Banished Knights are associated with Godfrey, whereas the Leyndell Knights are maybe more associated with Ratigan. But... out of gold... This incantation was used by the champions of the Erdtree in the First and Second Liurnian Wars, during which the red-haired Ratigan joined the heroes' ranks. Um, hmm. There's also, the odd thing here is banished knights use dragon communion, ostensibly allied with Flaky. And if Sirash was the Storm Lord slash Divine Beast, he was a messenger of the heavens, which implies the Storm of Farum Azula, i.e. Flaky. Then, what happens? The ancient dragons attack Lendel. Now, in this war, Godwyn is alive, and Radigan appears to be there, too. Malekith in Farum Azula gives a hammer that depicts Serash, so Serash could have been a vassal or something. I mean, I think it makes sense if you follow the idea that beasts serve dragons, right? So down on the ground, you have this culture, the Hornsent, and the people of the tower, who are building a tower to reach the heavens, this crucible tower, this intertwining thing to reach the heavens. They invoke divine beasts, and the beasts are messengers of the heavens. So to the idea that Serash is a messenger of Placidusax, essentially. But this would actually all make sense so far until, why do they attack? Is it because of Mesmer's crusade? We know with the ancient dragons are sort of, they're prideful, but they're sort of above this vicious conflict, right? Where does Baal fit into this? They attack Lendel directly, not Mesmer's forces, which is strange if we assume it's because of the crusade. But if the crusade and the veiling of the Land of Shadow happen at the same time, like imagine Marika, okay, she gets into power, she destroys the Fell God, blah, blah, blah. It's all still, happy with the Crucible. Then suddenly Marika does whatever, some spell to veil the Land of Shadow, to remove it from the Lands Between, and keeps Mesmer in there, and she's like, go kill all the Hornsent. She banishes Godfrey and the Tarnished, and takes Radigan on as her consort. maybe that's the trigger for the dragons, because then what? Well, maybe they can't reach the land of shadow. Um, so they need a good reason to attack. You know, I mean, if the beasts and all this stuff are messengers of the heavens, and if the heavens is referring to, you know, the storm, Placidus X Faramazula, then it would make sense that, well, they wouldn't be super happy about that whole idea. Maybe Elden Lord. Elden Lord. Maybe. So we have a couple things happen, right? Land of Shadow is veiled / disconnected. We have Mesmer's Crusade. We have Godfrey and Tarnish banished. We have Radigan summoned to become consort. What if Marika's ascension doesn't happen until after the Lyrian Wars with Radigan? Well, what I'm wondering is, what if when Marika and Godfrey fought the fire giants, what if Marika is not a god even then? What if she stole the Elden Ring or something like that? She may not have been the vessel. Well, because that would be... I mean, we see a depiction of the Elden Ring in Faramazula. That would be a reason for the ancient dragons to attack. If suddenly Marika turned on them. I mean, you basically have... You have an implication that Hornsent are allied with Blackie. I think that is an implication. Just via storms. Divine beasts. Also, maybe the anti-fire thing? Because Bale is, like, magma coated, flame lightning, whereas Plassey is all, like, light. So what if Marika becomes, you know, I don't know, a saint or something? Not a god, but a saint. And I guess there's the question of, like, what are all the bodies that are making up the... You know what, we should look at the story trailer again. It's been a while since I saw that. It's so cool looking. Hornsent use fire. They use ghost flame? Inquisitors use candle fire, not ghost flame. They wanted to take the crucible aspects for themselves, not just praise dragons who already have the crucible aspects. Fire is anathema to the Erdtree, but it's still part of the Erdtree faith. There... I mean, symbolically, you know, you always have, there's two kinds of fire, right? There's the fire of the heavens and the fires of hell. The fire, the deep fire of the earth, is like the evil, dark fire, and then you have the fire, the divine fire of the sun, which is, you know, the fire of God. That's why, like, in Lord of the Rings, you have Gandalf, who wields the flame of Anor, versus the Balrog, which wields the flame of Morgoth. So there's like that distinction between two different types of fire, you know, the fire of the earth and the fire of the heavens. You kind of get that with Bale, like the magma fire. It's this evil thing, versus Plassey, who has, you know, whether it's even fire or not, Plassey and the Elden Beast have this sort of divine fire, which I think is just holy damage. Let's look at this again.
Mikula the Kind spoke of the beginning.
This is a cloth. I don't think it's a snake. Because this looks like threads. There's bits of it that are like it's been embroidered or something.
The seduction and the betrayal.
And what's in there? An egg? Maybe?
Trail. An affair from which gold arose.
Do the bodies in the tower have horns? I can't remember. I thought it was Godwin's eye the first time I glanced. Is it stormy in this scene? Well, it's kind of like there's the storm, and then the Divine Gateway is in-game, yes. Some, but not all. Wait, actually, that would kind of make sense. Hold on. Hold on. So what if... What if America starts the crusade while the Land of Shadow is still connected? She uses the bodies of the Horn Scent to create the Divine Gate and become God. Only then, way later, and then as God seals the Land of Shadow and the Rune of Death, creating the Golden Order. And takes Radagon as concept. The only thing is, Godfrey calls himself First Elden Lord. And then you get into the Plassey thing. But man, the rest of this would make so much sense. The Erdtree's old sap becomes amber, treasure death, the most precious of jewels in the age. Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. In recorded history, said to have been Elden Lord in the age before the Erdtree. Once his god was fled, the Lord continued to await its return. The Saint Trina thing, yeah, it does seem to imply Radagon was always part of America, which could be a result of America being in the jars. What if America gets jarred, blended with Radagon or Proto-Radagon, then she becomes a saint. Becomes Godfrey, first Elden Lord. What does it mean to be Elden Lord? What does it mean to be Elden Lord? I don't know if you know about it, but becoming a saint is more of a localization thing. You know, I think I watched your video on that and I don't remember the details now, so maybe you have to remind me of what the implication is there. How do you be an Elden Lord? Stand before the Elden Ring. Is that all that's required? Do you just have to stand before the Elden Ring? Are there other requirements? Weren't sent through criminals in jars to become good people. There's no implication of saintliness or holiness specifically. Okay. Remember when Morgott was Elden Lord? I mean, I think we assumed because Godfrey was married to Marika and he was first Elden Lord, and then Radagon became the second husband and king consort, and he became second Elden Lord, that Elden Lord means being consort to a god. But I don't know if that's ever really said, actually. Who is this? Oh, the Nefeli. He vowed to become a lord. He took the peace regent Sarash on his back to suppress the ceaseless. Okay. Stand before the Elden Ring. Seek the Erdtree and stand before Marika, its queen, who is the vessel for the Elden Ring. Doesn't say you have to marry her. When brandished by the Elden Lord. So the Elden Lord brandishes the ring? We're back here again. Stand before the Elden Ring. Brandish? Um, any cool findings? I'm exploring the possibility that America was not God during Godfrey's rule as Elden Lord. As far as I can tell, there's no explicit information which would contradict that directly. Maybe we have something like this. Lassie is Elden Lord before the Erd Tree. We have the Ul civilization. Death burned in Ghost Flame. Then we have Age of Crucible. Godfrey becomes Lord, maybe chosen by Lassie? Because he subjugates Sarosh, the Storm Lord, Divine Beast. Then then we have somewhere in here Radigan, Renala, etc. Liurnian Wars. Then we have war against the Giants. The Lord will usher in a god's return, and the Lord's soul will require a vessel. The Lord's soul will require a vessel. The Lord will usher in a god's return. And the Lord's soul will require a vessel. Hold on. War against the Giants. Crusade. America becomes God. Evie and Land of Shadows sealed. Crusade. After the war with the Giants, Godfrey's last... I'm just spitballing here. I'm not saying these are true. Last where the enemy falls, and he's banished. Maybe not there. Hold on. I don't have strong opinions about that, but if Rad's hair goes red from giants, then why would the Dicarian children have red hair? I don't know that it's necessarily the red hair is specifically something only of the giants. I think it may be the fell god, some relation to that, or this idea of the flame, which could relate to, because you also have like the Lamenters. Which has red hair in the back. Is there a picture of the back? The Lamenter form has red hair, and then if you look at their back, there's a face.
Do you want to make your time?
Shut up, I don't care about you.
Huge bonk. It's
low
not the
quality. Lamenter, mask form.
Hey guys, it's Parrot.
Shut up. I want to see it. I don't think all red hair is related to the Giants, but if one thinks Radigan got his red hair because of the Giants' curse, it might be worth considering in regard to the timeline of his marriage with Cronulla. Yes. Ugh. I wish I could find a good picture. Okay, Elden Ring, Lamenter, mask, back, face. Has no one taken a picture of this? Bruh. So nose. Where's a good picture though? You can see it. Someone must have noticed this, right? If you want me to send you pics on Discord, I can help sometimes. Yeah, I mean, if anyone has a picture of this, look, I mean, whatever. You can take my word for it, but there's a face on the back. So the red hair and the face kind of connects it possibly with the fire giants or the fell god. Also, they use black flame, right? It's like a back when you turn into this thing. There's like a black flame thing. So what I'm wondering is, America becomes God. Is there any evidence that Godfrey was around for the crusade? I think the implication is America turns against the Crucible at this point, which would mean Godfrey banished. The lock of red hair is tied to the waist of the champion armor set. This hero starting class associated with Horalu in the Badlands. Also in the Giant War, many were referred to as heroes. I don't want to get caught up too much on the hair because, I mean, Black Flame's monks have black hair. Melina's hair turns black. It's not clear what hair color really means, whether it's genetic or whether there's something else going on, and what's going on. I feel like that, like, we can come up with all sorts of theories about the hair color, but I don't know if that's going to really point in the right direction. A lord will usher in a god's return. Oops. Hmm. So, God, oops. Return. The return of God is guided to the Lord? Um, on behalf of the Lord? Due to the Lord. Guided on behalf of the Lord. Well, soul of the Lord. So, God's return. Blesses God fled. He's waiting. Okay, how about this? Interesting. Object representative of a divine spirit. Yorishido. Okay, what about... I'm just spitballing here. Radigan is the Lord. God that returns is Plassey's God. The Lord's soul requires a vessel, i.e. America. Does that make any sense? The Elden Beast? It would if Radigan wasn't America. It can make sense if you're ready to open the Pandora's box of whether or not the Elden Ring is a soul and the kind of life Selen refers to. Thou art yet to become me, thou art yet to become a god. Let us be shattered both, mine other self. Mikola... This wouldn't really fit with Mikola's story, because it's Mikola who is the god that returns, right? Mikola could become a god, but not Saint Trina. Thanks for stopping by, last protagonist. Radica, technically a lord and a god. I mean, the thing is, the Mikola America parallel does not work exactly right because Mikola doesn't use... It's not Saint Trina that becomes the god, and it's not Mikola that's the lord. Saint Trina is discarded. Okay, I'm going to table this for the moment so that I can actually play a little bit. Because I haven't done any of that on this playthrough. And that's been an hour and a half so far. So, I think... Let's see. There's still a question about Morn, I think, in this timeline. But I think it would be wise to... do what now? First, I'm gonna go kill this Erdtree avatar. And, Okay, St. Trina being discarded is a reaction to Radagon not being discarded. I'm not sure I know what that means. Radagon wasn't discarded. Putrescent Knight is the Radigan to Trina's Marika. It's turtles all the way down. Marika not discarding Radigan made her mutable, which is what Gold Mask has an issue with. Marika is supposed to be immutable. Nicola didn't want to repeat Marika's mistake of Radigan's defiance. Oh god, no. No! God, I hate that attack so much. God damn it. God damn it! So dumb. I think Titan means Mickey learned from America's mistake. But what was her mistake exactly? She became a god. The mistake was in... what? I mean, I don't really get what mistake. As far as becoming a god is concerned, they were both successful. Radigan is Marika's living subconscious doubts and uncertainty, which is why at the cross where Mikla abandons part of Trina, it says he abandons his doubts. But Radigan is not... Radigan is more assertive, is more sure than Marika, it seems like, right? Radigan is totally for the Golden Order. He won't... Radigan is faith. God damn it. Stupid attack. Oh. I gotta try not to read comments while I'm fighting this guy. Okay. Marika wasn't worried about the golden order being infallible originally, she became worried about its inconsistencies over time. So both America and Mikla had to divest themselves before sending. We might just not see / know the specifics from America divesting herself. She came to doubt the order in which whether she worried it was infallible, then is boast the fact. Which is why America wanted to become one with Radigan and why Mikla abandoned Trina for the same reason. Oh, both Radigan and Trina are the living, suppressed beliefs and desires of both gods, Mikla and America. If we were going for the emotional divestment idea and also want to oversimplify the hell out of complex characters, then Radigan is Marika's fear. Well, what does he represent? He feels incomplete, and he hates his red hair. He is blindly devoted to the Golden Order. Radigan is Radigan of the Golden Order. If, just following this idea that Marika becomes a god after all this other stuff, she starts the Golden Order and takes on Radigan as Elden Lord at the same time. Which means that this secret rite about becoming a god is this happened at this point. The Lord in question is Radigan. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Is it possible America became a god after the Night of the Black Knives? Question for chat. What do you make of that? She gets the Elden Ring, then immediately shatters it. Maybe? During the Night of the Black Knives, Godwin is called a demigod, so America must have been a god. First of the demigods to die. Well... Godfrey is a demigod. Removing the Rune of Death from the ring implies that she is the ring's vessel with access to it at the time. But who says that the Rune of Death had to be removed from the ring when Ronnie stole a fragment of it? Why wondering if America was a god before or after Night of the Black Knives? Okay, I'm just... Follow me on here. I'm just going out on crazy branches. What if... the Lord's soul will require a vessel? What if Godwin was the Lord? Um... Okay, here's another wrinkle to throw in. Um... Mighty dragon, thou art a true-born heir. Lend me thy strength, O kindred. The golden lineage is guided by Sirash, the divine beast messenger of Lassie the Dragon Lord. The golden lineage is a dragon lineage. Godwyn is next in line for the throne. Maybe. Godwyn is chill with Cordyceps and dragons. So what if Godwyn is killed? His soul is killed. Body alive. The Lord's soul requires a vessel. Radigan. Is this crazy at all? Those who live in death is a pure lunacy. But prove me wrong. Okay. Prove me wrong. Give me a good argument against this. The thesis. So sorry. Okay, I'm wondering. I may not have expressed this clearly. The thesis is Ronnie steals a fragment of the Rune of Death. Okay, we know this. Godwyn is assassinated. His soul is killed. Radigan is the vessel for that soul, which ushers in the god's return, i.e. Marika. In other words, when Marika becomes a god, Radigan is the Lord. This is when the Golden Order is created. And yeah, Godwin's soul in Radigan's body. If Godwin's soul is killed, how does Radigan get it? Well, the same way that Mikola puts Radahn's soul in Mohg's body. I don't think Destined Death necessarily obliterates the soul, yeah? Well, we know that resurrection was possible before the Golden Order. How did Mikola get Radahn's soul? What are the mechanics of this? I don't know. Y'all keep talking about Radigan as if he isn't literally Marika. Life and death, the notion of life and death defies the Golden Order. But it's also the result of a flaw in the Order. The Golden Order was founded by sealing Destined Death. What does Enya say? Plucked from the Golden Order upon its creation. It was created by sealing Destined Death. But let's just follow this thought. Godwin's soul was placed in Radigan's vessel body. Godwin is half dead, living in death. This is the flaw in the Order. This is why Radigan is incomplete. Apart from looking like Godwin, Radigan fights like a lightning user halfway into his health pool. He uses the Storm Stomp, Ash of War, and teleports as lightning just like Godwin's Death Knights. The teleportation... He's Baldur the son who shouldn't be able to die. And says die a true death. He's Baldur the Son who shouldn't be able to die, and he's also the Lord who is God, the Son, the Father, the Holy Spirit. It is said that Godwyn dies as a martyr to destined death. So if there was a Godwyn/Radigan ritual, was it meant to reinstate destined death? What I'm thinking is... Again, I'm not really sure if I believe this yet, but I'm just following the line of logic. Godwyn was intended to die to DD so that his soul could be the Lord's soul in Radigan's body. He only half died. So it still happened. His soul was... Or something like that happened, but it got fucked up because of Ronnie. I don't think the Lord Soul Vessel thing with Radahn is universal. In my opinion, it's a one-off thing that doesn't have to have happened with every Lord God pair in the past. That's possible. But, Ansbach does say... Where does he say it? Wait, where does he say it? Oh, there we go. That is where he intends to rise to true godhood. The Tower of Shadow houses a divine gateway, the gateway that was once the birthplace of a god we know all too well. So at least the divine gate is how America became a god. And that is the secret rite of the divine gateway. So that does suggest that this is something about the divine gateway itself. I would believe it more if Radigan became a sculpted keeper after Godwyn. Mikola never wanted to resurrect Godwyn. He wanted to give him a proper death. Godwyn was always supposed to die. those could both be, those are not mutually exclusive. Maybe you need to have a proper death in order to be resurrected. Proper death means returning to the Erd Tree. If you compare the scar on Godwin's body, it is the same spot as where Marika Radigan's stone body is shattered. Well, and... Oops. Why did I open this? What the heck? Get rid of this. Concept art, concept art. Where is... Here's Marika and Radigan. Hey, that looks like a blonde Radigan. Isn't that odd? And...
Peggy's.
But when I recall, driven to
shirtless with a blue thingy.
See it.
The idea is a return through the gate as a god, in my opinion. I think that seems to be the idea. Radigan not only fights like a lightning user, but even has a lightning sound effect in one of his attacks. You can beat the DLC without unsealing Dust and Death, though. Thor, the striker, hammer-wielding god of lightning. Lightning, yes. So that... Skill used by the Golden Knights who served Godwin. From a low stance, the body is transformed into a bolt of lightning and charges straight ahead at fulgurous speed. Also, Godwin's cadaver surrogates are in the Land of Shadow, suggesting that the Knight of the Black Knives happened before the sealing of the Land of Shadow. It's not definite, but it would follow. And you posted something else in suggestions on the Discord? Oh, this is probably not appearing on screen properly. That's too big. How do I... Can I not bring this out or something? Just bring this up. Ah, stop it. Stop. Stop. That should appear on screen. Okay. A lord will usher in a god's return, and the lord's soul will require a vessel. No, they do holy damage. It's all holy. Did you see the ring in the middle, just like the lightning spells with Godwin's Death Knights? Yeah. I don't know how much I want to lean on that as evidence because, you know, you can have similar effects for various things. That's not a big deal. Godwin... Okay, just follow me here. So, Godwin was intended to die to destined death, so that Marika could use his soul to put it into Radigan's body in order to become a god. But he only half died. Which screwed up everything. Because now... now America thou art yet to become me. Thou art yet to become a god. Let us be shattered both, mine other self. So what if she's saying this before becoming a god? What if she splits off Radigan? Does that make any sense? Ping me on Discord with the attack. Oh, the sound? I mean, I wouldn't read into that too much because I think you can duplicate special effects. There's all sorts of things. The Golden Order is founded on the principle that America is the one true God. But Radigan is America. The Golden Order is founded on the principle that America is the one true God, but the Golden Order was created by removing destined death. Did America have to shatter herself further to make room for Radigan if Godwin's body could not be used due to Ronnie's meddling? So what does Mikola do? Mikola gets rid of bits of himself, including Saint Trina, his other self. Right? What's something that Trina says? I just want to find her dialogue. Don't turn the poor thing into a god. Godhood would be Mikola's prison. Caged divinity is beyond saving. Could be that the greater will intentionally sets up his gods to be split personalities, with the latter always eventually usurping the former. America could be the first to stop the chain of betrayal. knights, remember that the same thorns you see on Stormvale from Godwyn are also seen blocking the Erd tree, and you need Destined Death to burn through. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's... hold on. Let's just catalog all of this. So, Radagon and Godwyn. Okay. Both are shirtless dudes with a creepy wound on their back. Both, okay, Radagon magic attacks look like lightning. He teleports like Blink Bolt. Godwyn's body produces thorns and Death Root. But actually that Godwyn's cadaver surrogate in Stormvale produces thorns. Stormvale soldiers are thorny. Radagon's seal on the Erd tree is thorns. Radagon's statue in Stormcaller Church was Radagon Marika's old body reborn like Yura/Shabiri or Irina Hayata? You should also write down that Godwyn's Death Knights wear the same skirt/sash as Radagon. Is that true? I need a better picture. get out into the light. Death Knight grieves. Pass it. There we go. That's definitely a bird with a ring above its head. I don't know if I would say this is necessarily like Radigan. That feels a little bit too far of a reach. It's just a blue, dark blue, God, I hope we're not coping by turning Radigan into Godwin just because he was missing in the DLC. No. No, this is because I'm exploring the possibility that America became a god much later. And then if we think about what that means, if we think that maybe America became a god much later, just starting from that, and then we accept that the secret right scroll is how America became a god, that this isn't just unique to Mikla's experience with the Divine Gate, but it is also exactly how America became a god through the Divine Gate, then a lord will usher in a god's return, and the lord's soul will require a vessel. Now, Godwin was supposed to be a martyr to destined death. And instead he lived in death. America was driven to the brink. And then maybe this is why Nefeli is chosen for a proper lineage, since she also fights with dual axes, and her dialogue of reminds me of my first hawk implies she has a connection to the storm clans. And oops. What if Godwins and the Hornsnet were the original warrior clan? The Blue Dancers, the default warrior classes. Flowing water. Radigan emerging out of the Deathrite priests became guardians of the birds through the rite of death, which also serves as an oath sworn to their distant resurrection. Now, death was burning ghost flame before the age of the Erd Tree, which means that destined death was not plucked from the ring, which means that resurrection was possible even with destined death. So if you're killed by destined death, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are completely dead. Scum Mage Info noted that the similarity between Godric's rune, who may have been Godwin's, and Radigan's, one is grafted squares and the other grafted circles. Godfrey is only a lord. Godfrey is a demigod as well. It's confusing how Horalu and Sarosh fit into this. They seem to fit the White Scroll ritual more than Marika. Well, then the question becomes, if Marika became a god much later, who was the god before then? Being a god, Queen Marika is the vessel of the Elden Ring, carrier of its vision. She remains a god in the vision's vessel. The implication being that being a god is the same as being... Well, see, but Mikola is a god and he's not the vessel of the Elden Ring, right? Is he a vessel for something? What is he? What would he be a vessel for? But let's say there was a god before Marika then. The Fell god? Plassey's god? Bale turned upon the Dragon Lord, inflicted a grievous wound only to make a hasty retreat. What if Godwin changed his name after the union of him and the Stormhawk King, kind of like Hora and Sarash? Visually, this is obviously meant to connote Godfrey with Sarash on the back. In this case, it's almost like Mikola is controlling him. I wonder if Sarash was, well, he was controlling Godfrey in the sense of, you know, repressing the lust for battle, but maybe it was more than that. Maybe he was acting as a way for the dragons to control. Godfrey was Elden Lord. Who was God? Divine Order versus Divine Light for Marika versus Mikola. Going back to the Tzimtzum idea you mentioned, where infinite light is the lack of order and the absence of free will. Clomid Queen could have been previous god if the rune of death relates to her. She was a queen of something. If America was in on the Night of the Black Knives, why not just get Malekith to do it? Why have Ronnie steal a fragment of Destined Death? That implies either she wasn't in on the Night of the Black Knives, or that Malekith wasn't in on it. God who should have lived a life eternal. How does the Finger Slayer blade relate to this? Much of the America was in on the Night of the Black Knife comes from Black Knife assassins, but just because they had ties doesn't mean that they were on the same side. People betray family all the time. True. Interesting that Rogero refers to Godwyn as a sacred relic, and Radigan becomes the sacred relic sword too. Finger Slayer blade. Finger Slayer blade. Could the Finger Slayer blade be the Glowmide Queen? Was Godwyn's corpse used to create the Finger Slayer blade that Ronnie uses? Is that why she offed him? Was Godwyn's corpse used to create the Finger Slayer blade that Ronnie uses? The Fingerslayer blade is like the sword Elden Beast makes from Ratigan. Yeah. It implies it was, and it is born from a corpse, which implies it was born from something equivalent to Ratigan, i.e. a god, an Empyrean, a lord, something. I mean, it could just be a person, but that seems less likely. The Fingerslayer blade be the Gek? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Prince of Death staff also has that spiral motif. The sacred relic sword is specifically born from the corpse of a god if you're connecting it to the Fingerslayer blade. Yeah. Yeah, the question is, does the Fingerslayer blade need to be born from a god as well, or can it just be born from any old corpse? Greater will send a golden star bearing a beast into the lands between, which would later become the Elden Ring. Oops. Competing god would make the Fingerslayer, Ronnie, or Nox relating stuff indicates moon stuff. This has to happen. Stars are seeds. That's a consistent pattern, right? Doesn't Selen say something about the seeds of... No, the seeds of stars. But stars create life. Also, Radon stopped the falling stars to protect Celia. which is interesting because the Nox were punished. Maybe that happened way earlier now. Before even the war with the fire giants. Yeah, that's right. I was misremembering the Selin quote, but stars do have this implication of sort of producing life. We have falling star beasts. You have all the meteoric impacts which have what does Ymir say? Long ago we began as stardust, born of a great rupture far across the skies. Is fighting the Elden Beast the return of a god, turning the previous god into weapon? I don't really get that. Do you think Elden Ring can be solved? Well, obviously there's no narrative that we can give that can be confirmed. But I do think there is a narrative we can come up with which explains everything in a satisfying way. You know, if there's competing narratives for that, that's one thing. But I don't think anybody has come up with a narrative that explains everything. I think we're still years into this and no one's come up with a single narrative that makes sense of everything. So, you know, once we get a narrative that makes sense of everything, then we can judge whether we think that's satisfying enough. But we have to get there first. When we say Plassey's god fled, do we mean his Marika or his greater will? I always assumed greater will. The FSB could be Plassey's consort. That would make sense. Elden Lord consort to God. Mark, my Lord God, for you commend your deeds. Guidance hath delivered ye through each ordeal to the place you stand. the giants to the sword and confine the flame atop the mount. Let a new epoch begin, an epoch glistening with life. Brandish the Elden Ring. I think the Graven schools are uniquely a star seed. Don't personally believe stars equal seeds is something that can just be applied as a blanket statement. Well, I would say in a generic sense, I think it is clearly the case that stars contain life, and when stars crash to the ground, they leave life behind. They add life, or whatever you want to say. It's a sort of panspermia idea. So, in that sense, I think it's not too much of a leap to say that the golden star, which was sent to the lands between, is the crucible, the seed of the Erd tree, something along those lines. Have you thought anything about the straight/twisted warp dichotomy between the Erd tree /shadow tree and the sacred relic sword /fingerslayer blade? Yeah. Yeah. A sword of light, a sword of night. Unfortunately, I have to go in 5 minutes, so I should just go now. I'm going to examine this further. Misbegotten. Yeah, I need to go. I feel like there is something to this. Are you playing with the idea that all of the Land of Shadow could be Yochid to, or that it could be in there, could be related? Yeah, if anyone's not in the Discord, link to the Discord is in the description. If you want me to look at something, you know, post it in the appropriate channel. Can you post your notes on Discord, maybe? While listening, while working, miss some parts. Sure. I'll just literally post it right here. This is going to be really long, but this is very messy as well. Okay. We'll, I didn't really play it all, but we'll continue through the game with some of these ideas in mind probably tomorrow. Maybe earlier in the day. Actually, probably around the same time tomorrow. I will ping everyone in the Discord for that, so I will see you then. Take care, everyone.